Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello guys, welcome back with me again. So in this video, I want to explain some material about theory of culture with the main topic, the cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity. From the main topic, the cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity, there are also some burning topics that I want to present for all, and also about what the lesson learned that I got from this material. Okay, let's begin. Happy watching. The cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity. In the area of cultural theory, few concepts have generated as much anxiety and controversy as that of postmodernism. The debate revolves around a series of related terms: postmodernism, postmodernity, postmodernization, and globalization. Postmodernism. Postmodernism has several dimensions. It refers to an aesthetic and artistic style that rejects the aesthetic and artistic codes of modernism. Postmodernity. Postmodernity refers to a stage of social development which is thought to be beyond that of modernity. A synonym here is the postmodern era. And the last is globalization. Globalization is the process by which the world is becoming more and more interconnected, with existing political, cultural, and economic boundaries being superseded. A further useful analytical distinction can be made between literatures that advocate or make use of the principles of postmodernism, and those which seek to explain postmodernism and postmodernization. Postmodernism in architecture. According to James, the eventual failure of modernism architecture symbolized by the demands of the product development has much to do with that characteristic. The design never responded to human needs for environmental diversity and community formation. It also failed to connect with symbolic needs. He asserts that most people found the metaphors of modern architecture, example like buildings as machine or factory, rather alienating. The core elements of postmodernism in architecture are an emphasis of playful rather than serious design, building that copy other styles and engage in ironic plastic rather than attempting to have a personal stylistic signature, fragmentation of design, and effort to create buildings which appeal to ordinary people with semiotic codes that they can understand and enjoy. And the last is the use of curves and blind lanes rather than rectangles and straight lines. As a result, such building can be confusing to navigate. Postmodernism in art and literature. Similar developments have taken place in the field of art and literature, where postmodernists have pitched themselves against what they see as the ills of modernism. The aesthetic codes of modernism, for the most part, favor work that was deeply serious, internally consistent, innovative, abstract, and outward by an individual genius. To a lesser extent, it has also celebrated reason, order, and knowledge, and carried with some kind of message or commentary that it thought to be important about the world. Next, postmodernity in social theory. Ideas about postmodernity were taken over by middle-range theorists who aim to make them relevant to their particular disciplinary concept. First, Jean-Francois Lyotard. Intellectual debates about postmodernism often find a point of departure in the writing of the French social philosopher Jean-Francois Lyotard, 1984. According to Lyotard, societies are organized not just around technologies, but also around languages, games, and discourse. Lyotard suggests that we have now entered a new postmodern era. Science and technology complex administrative systems, and computers have become developed to a stage where knowledge has become the principal course of production over the last few decades. Baudrillard. Like Lyotard, John Baudrillard was a major early influence on development of theory about the postmodern. For Baudrillard, our consumer society is one in which people seek to affirm their identity and difference and experience pleasure through the purchase and consumption of shared system of science. He writes, consumption is an order of signification, like language or like the kinship system in primitive society. The circulation, purchase, sale, appropriation of differentiated goods and signs or objects today constitute our language, our codes, the codes by which entire society communicates and converses. Daniel Bell. Postmodernity is about growing power of knowledge and culture in contemporary society were decisively prefigured in the words of Daniel Bell. In these words, Bell suggests that in the second half of the 20th century, the continued growth of capitalism depended on information technology and knowledge created in major research centers like universities and high-tech corporations. At the same time, citizens were being converted into consumers with ever-expanding demands for goods and entertainment. Bell suggests that a contradiction exists between cultural-driven, hedonistic demands for consumer goods and the sovereign needs of the state and the economy, while the latter were still driven by an aesthetic rationality that derived from the Protestant ethic. Next, the neo-Marxist critique of postmodernism. Perhaps the most significant development of the era was a wave of anti-Marxist cultural commentary. It was broadly hostile to the aesthetic codes of postmodernism, keen to demonstrate how the forces of capitalism were at the heart of contemporary cultural shifts. Concerned to the common, the relationship between that shift and the possibilities for human emancipation. Next, Frederick Jameson, Postmodernism as the cultural logic of late capitalism. Jameson says postmodernism and capitalism to be so intimately linked that every position on the postmodernism in culture is at one and the same time and necessarily an implicitly or explicitly political stance on the nature of multinational capitalism today. In order to combat postmodernism, he suggests we need to come to terms with its new spatial logic and develop critical tools for reading postmodernism cultural artifacts. David Harvey and the flexible accumulation. The geographer David Harvey in 1989 provides another neo-Marxian take on postmodernism. Harvey suggests that we have now entered an era with a different logic of production. Markets were saturated with goods, tax revenues were down, and inflation was out of control. Capitalists respond with a system Harvey calls flexible accumulations. And next, Scott Lass, Postmodernism as Differentiation. Scott Lass is broadly sympathetic to Marxian understanding of postmodernism, interpreting it as a product of the capitalist case he had earlier designed as disorganized capitalism. As he puts it, modernization is a process of cultural differentiation, in which first, the cultural differentiates from the social, and second, cultural forms which were previously rather in distinction differentiate from one another. Examples of this process include the separation of religious and secular art or the distinction between the arts and the science. Let's claim that postmodernism is a critique of modernity, which is all about the differentiation. Further critiques and debates. The neo-Marxist critique of postmodernism and clear thought. Second, problem of definition. Problems of definition are closely related to those of periodization. Even supporters of postmodernism agree that there are multiple understandings. For example, points out that postmodernity means many different things to many different people. Analysis problems of extent. The issue in hand here concerns the scale and scope of social change. Critics suggest that the argument that we all live in an entirely new social and cultural order are exaggerate and tend toward hyperbole. Globalization and culture. A major reason for this, the social process associated with the post-modernization of culture. Examples like the media, consumerism, tourism, the transnational corporation have also played a core role in generating a world that is more and more interconnected. By bringing cultures into contact, globalization has also encouraged recognition of relation, reflexivity, difference, and the critique of Western modernity. And the last is lesson learned. So, from all the material about theory of culture, with the main topic the cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity, I know and I got the lesson learned that postmodernism and postmodernity was becoming a part of the pantheon and canon of high art. Anything gets aesthetic visible in life, art, but also in the architecture, film, and literature of the period. While much modernist art exhibit a frenzy for the new, was future-oriented and celebrate innovation and novelty, postmodernist makes nostalgia for the old and fascination with the new in a combination of styles, form extracted from the entire history of cultural theory. So guys, that's all the material about the cultural analysis of postmodernism and postmodernity from the theory of culture that I can present for you, and I hope this material can useful in particular add to our knowledge about theory of culture. And let's say, thank you